Hello out there in cryptocurrency land. Welcome back to Real Crypto. Thanks for joining me. We are going to do a little bit of a deep dive on EOS. Now, this is not going to be super technical, but I will touch the bases on what EOS is trying to do, what they are, what they have, what they could be, and where I see the kind of the price going. I'm not going to give specific levels because that's kind of a fool's game, but I do want to give my perspective on, especially from a charting perspective and a market cap perspective, where we could head. All right, so let's get right to this. So EOS. So first of all, real disclaimer: this information is for educational purposes, secretly licensed professional, blah blah blah. All right, so EOS history. Now, EOS history, there's not a whole lot of it. There's been a lot of market hype and there's been a lot of talk, but there's not a whole lot going on here. The most innovative thing that EOS has actually done, because keep in mind their blockchain is still not live yet, is they invented the year-long ICO, which is an extraordinarily brilliant marketing tactic, basically giving them a couple of key advantages from their ICO point. Number one, it gave them time to let the cryptocurrency market mature. Now, I'm pretty sure they didn't even understand what was going to happen, but as we saw Bitcoin, unfold 13,000% over its, low to high trough, then we've seen EOS expand exponentially. We've seen Ethereum expand exponentially, and keep in mind you have to buy their ICO tokens in Ether, in Ethereum tokens. So they've actually definitely benefited from the appreciation of the cryptocurrency market. And they're supposed to have the next level blockchain. We've been talking about, Bitcoin being the first level blockchain, Ethereum being kind of the second level or generation blockchain, and now EOS is supposed to be the third level blockchain. But then we have Cardano and all these other new ones. But EOS was really the first blockchain that was said to be superior to Ethereum, the so-called Ethereum killer. So how is this the Ethereum killer? What is different about EOS from a technological standpoint that makes it better than Ethereum, that gives them, the ability to kind of say, hey, we're going to ICO for a year and you're going to like it? Well, they do have from a technological perspective, they do have a lot of things that make sense, and even from a very fundamental standpoint and common sense standpoint, things make a lot of sense. So a couple techie things out of the way. They don't have proof of work like Bitcoin or Ethereum. You don't have to sit there and mine mindless calculations in order to work EOS. It's actually done by a delegated proof of stake, and we'll get into that in a minute. As you know, proof of stake is basically where you own coins, and by staking these coins in a wallet, you show the network that you're invested in the network and that you should be rewarded. Now, the delegated part is a little bit differently. The EOS platform has 21 delegates per EOS chain. Now, this is important because you can have multiple EOS chains, almost similar to a fork, although they can talk to each other. So it's not like a fork in the way that Bitcoin and Bitcoin Cash has forked off. It's basically kind of like if you ran multiple nodes of Ethereum and they all communicated. All right. Now, you can have an unlimited number of these EOS chains throughout the EOS ecosystem, which gives you massive scale, just massive scale, the ability to really grow exponentially. And even in a small level, you can have a small number of nodes really grow the EOS ecosystem just as well. You don't have to have, the million scale in order to achieve kind of performance parity, if you will. You can do it in chunks. It's pretty cool. Now, EOS is designed to have zero fees on the network, so squash most of that. Now, some of the proof of stake people and the people running those nodes, those 21 delegates per EOS chain, there is plans to have them issued further EOS tokens, kind of paying them to run the network. We don't go into that too much here. And the EOS tech is an application-based platform. It's supposed to have an OS development feel like, or something like that. I didn't go too much into that, but the general thing behind EOS is that it's basically a blockchain operating system, and if you want to write an app, they have all the tools necessary to do so. So, what is delegated proof of stake? So first of all, as the token holders, you have the option to vote in these block makers. And we'll talk about those in a second here. Those block makers are those 21 delegates in that proof of stake, in those EOS chain, that second bullet point, 21 delegates per EOS chain. Those token holders vote in those 21 people. And the block makers run the network just like miners. They're the ones that go ahead and create the blocks, create the security, they secure the network, all that good stuff. That's what they do, okay? And those block makers don't get voted in and live in perpetuity. They are voted on. So every so often, I don't know what that frequency is. I saw it at one point and I couldn't find it again. But every so often, there are new block makers that get voted in. Let's say a node goes down or is proven to be unreliable or has security flaws. New block makers can come in. And there's a bunch of people sitting out there, so waiting to become those delegates. So what you see here is the beginning part of scalability. This also goes into the delegates. So first of all, you have that big pie there. Now, you'll notice there's not 21 sections there. I drew this by hand, so, whatever. But there's 21 delegates that go into this node of this blockchain for EOS, right? And you have all these ancillary nodes that want to be voted on, waiting to get it in, waiting to be one of those 21 delegates. So in this particular circumstance, you have, 20 sitting on the outside, 21 sitting on the inside, and then come the next voting time period, maybe one or two of those will switch places. And, from scalability's perspective, that's really good because you have options. Now, EOS kind of has what I'm viewing as almost like a universe. Now, each of those nodes I'm viewing as a galaxy. Okay, so each of those pies is its own galaxy, and each of those communicate within one another to create this universe that is supposed to be EOS. And so from a technological perspective, you can see how this can scale very quickly, because what you end up with is you end up with nodes that can go down that don't take down the whole universe. You can have a galaxy explode, one of these nodes explode, and the rest of the nodes still maintain the blockchain. So I think that's important, and I think this kind of visually gives you a bit of an idea of what they're trying to do. So from a tech review, from my perspective, I think it sounds great. I think it sounds fantastic. I think the issues are that we haven't seen it yet. We really haven't seen it yet versus like Cardano and Ethereum, which is, running nodes, Stellar running nodes, Neo running nodes. You're getting some of these, you're seeing the problems, right? We've seen problems with Ethereum scale. We haven't seen anything with EOS yet. This is all strictly theory at this point. I haven't seen any evidence that they're running any nodes or doing anything. So it's just all talk right now. But it probably will work with the money they have behind them. You would really hope it would work, and it better work. So their ICO process is very interesting. It's a year-long ICO. Essentially what happens is, I think it's every day or every 2 days, I forget exactly. Every day or every 2 days, they have actually it's every day. Every day they have basically a 2 million EOS sale, if you will, and you deposit within Ethereum, and then based on how many people deposit, then you get your appropriate amount of EOS tokens. And that's been going on since last June, and it's going to end this June. So on June 1st, that is the last time that a EOS block in the Ethereum network will be sold, and then the next day they will transfer all into the actual EOS tokens used to run the blockchain. Now you can only buy them with with Ether. You can't buy them with Bitcoin or anything else. And a fun fact, there's only 11 addresses that hold a majority of the tokens. So there's always going to be centralization in everything in life, guys. Sorry to say that. And especially with money. And I think it's the best ICO in history. I don't even think that's that's not even an opinion, that's a fact. They have raised billions of dollars, and they still have almost 2 months to go, and they will raise at least a couple more $1 billion. So in the end, the EOS people will have billions of your dollars because you're interested in EOS. I'm not saying that that's good or bad, but I'm literally saying they're going to have billions of dollars. So this is something that's interesting that a lot of people don't talk about. You have to buy EOS and Ethereum, so they're going to end up with um, some numbers I've seen around the web around 8 to 10 million Ether. That is 10% of Ethereum. So you have an Ethereum competitor, a major competitor, that will own 10% of Ethereum. That gives them power in many ways. Not only power over the price of Ethereum in case they decide to sell and take some money off the table or buy more EOS tokens or whatever the case may be, but that's a big risk to the Ethereum price because we now know that a competitor, or we've known for some time, but a competitor to Ethereum kind of owns 10% of their stock. It's like, Microsoft owning 10% of Google. Hopefully they're just going to hold it for the bull run, but there is a risk there. So just keep that in mind. Now, Block.one, all right, Block.one is the company that is developing EOS. But what is Block.one? They're the company developing EOS. They're a private company. They're not publicly traded. I don't know how many shareholders they have, but they are private. Their website is oddly weird. It doesn't say much. It says, blah, 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 we're hiring. That's pretty much what it says. And if you go through their hirings, which I did, it looks like they're doing something. It looks like Block.one is going to start developing blockchain applications for the EOS platform, which is good, which I think that's very good. The weird part, though, is that Block.one has no plan to run an EOS node, at least according to their frequently asked questions on EOS.io, the website. So there's a lot of legal mumbo jumbo in the FAQ, and I'm going to walk you through those websites after this presentation's done. There's a lot of legal mumbo jumbo in that FAQ absolving them from doing anything. It's like a parent saying to a child, I'm going to raise you till you're 18 and I'm kicking you the F out. It's essentially what they're saying. But they are hiring in Virginia and Hong Kong for what looks like to be distributed application development positions. So here's a little bit of the strangeness in the FAQs. Number 5 and 23 specifically stood out to me. Number 5, what features, uses, or attributes do EOS tokens have? Can EOS tokens be used on a blockchain adapting the EOS software? So in a nutshell, it says here, Block.one is building the EOS software, but it will not configure and or launch any public blockchain platforms adopting the open source software. Okay, that's saying that we're developing this, we're making it open source, do with it whatever the hell you want. They also mentioned the EOS tokens do not have any rights, use, purpose, attributes, functionalities, features expressed or implied, including without limitation, legal mumbo jumbo, functionalities or features on the EOS platform. That is correct. Their ICO tokens are basically placeholders, and if you register them appropriately, you will get EOS tokens. So if you own EOS and don't register them appropriately, you're screwed with a token that may not have any value. And then number 23 was interesting. Where do the proceeds from the token distribution go? Proceeds go to the revenue of Block.one, a privately held company that doesn't have any legal responsibility to the thing that they've created. I find that interesting. All right, so is this just a money grab? So the EOS platform sounds good in theory. And if it works, I think it could be one of the next big things in cryptocurrency. I really do. I really think that blockchain could take off if it runs. And I've seen press releases from various companies saying that they want to run that. Bitfinex is saying they're going to go ahead and use EOS. But I think there's a behind-the-scenes relationship between Bitfinex and EOS, to be quite frank with you. And, who knows if all that's mumbo-jumbo. But is it just a money grab? There's been billions of dollars raised. There's 19 developers on GitHub with commits in 2018. 19. Now, that number may be skewed a little bit. That was just based off of a simple graphical interpretation, maybe a couple with a few commits. But most of the major developers, there's about 19 of them in 2018. And we're 4 months into 2018 at this particular point in time. So there's no company developing EOS. So what does that company do again? Well, as we saw, it looks like they're trying to develop distributed applications. So hopefully they continue with that. And I'm sure they want to see their network succeed. No one really wants to work on something or pretend to work on something and then just ditch it, BitConnect. So we'll see what happens there. But that's the funny part. There's no interest in the tech after they deem EOS is done. Once they say EOS is complete, guys, have at it. It's going to be up to community developers, at least according to what's going on right now. Now, I would like to see them take leadership in that, right? They don't have a legal obligation to, but I think they should take leadership considering they developed the damn thing. So they should take leadership and foster the community. And in the end, they will still hold 20% of EOS tokens even after the whole ICO is completed. So they do have a financial interest in keeping this going and making this successful, and I really hope they do just that. So charts, yay! Let's look at some charts. All right. So here's the chart of EOS against Bitcoin. We have charts of EOS versus Bitcoin, Ethereum, and the US dollar. We're going to look at all those real quick. Now the Bitcoin EOS chart is sitting here right. I'm going to call this the all-time high, even though this is the all-time high. This is kind of the ICO level right here. I usually don't count these initial bumps. And we're sitting right now bumping up against this all-time high. You can anticipate a pause. Now the volume signature here does show you some accumulation right here. And if you don't know what happened, what caused this accumulation, it was actually one of the very few news articles in cryptocurrency that kind of made a coin move. This was a press release by EOS saying that they were going to have 1,100 distributed applications ready to go when the platform launched. So that told everyone in the EOS community that maybe this is not a scam coin. Maybe this is a coin that is going to have some legs. And you can see the massive accumulation of those EOS coins right here. And we've subsequently seen that really drop off quite a tremendous amount into the area here where we have very low volume, and it's starting to pick up again, but you can see it's not near quite the amount of volume that we saw in the earlier run towards the latter part of 2017. And we're going to see the similar thing with Ethereum and the USD. The funny thing with Ethereum, though, is most recently with Ethereum kind of crashing into the dirt, we have EOS really breaking all-time highs, barely, albeit barely, but breaking into all-time highs with the same volume signature. Not a lot happening now. There was a lot down here, and obviously there's been quite a bit of price appreciation. Actually, this looks like it's almost tenfold, probably more. Yeah, about tenfold, 954% to the current levels here. And we're seeing a rest, as we know. Anytime we hit towards all-time highs, there's more, there's probably going to be a rest. There's going to be some distribution. And EOS against the US dollar, again, we see a very similar volume analysis here. Excuse me. We do see a very similar volume analysis with a bit more buying over here. Notice the nice pop-up, nice sideways consolidation, then the most recent up thrust today. And, this leading to some major interest in EOS, which is the reason I'm making this video. And also we have the all-time high here, and EOS against the dollar up over 18 bucks. Looks like it's down about almost 50% from that. So from a dollar perspective, keep in mind this is the most stable currency between Ethereum, Bitcoin, and the dollar. Obviously, this is a more level price representation of what EOS is actually worth than against Bitcoin or Ethereum. And what it says, it's making a comeback. All right, it's making a comeback here. And we're seeing Ethereum and Bitcoin prices touch towards all-time highs because both of these currencies have been weak. Where, the dollar's been the dollar. It's pretty stable. So that's what we have here. Now let's go over to CoinMarketCap real quick. I'll go ahead and refresh this. So EOS is actually number 5 now. It's actually past Litecoin, which I find quite extraordinary. Litecoin is a very good quality currency, but EOS, the hype behind it right now, the price action behind it, what I think is happening is that some people in the know, there really haven't been too many announcements on EOS coming out, but some people in the know are accumulating EOS, and apparently they're able to do it on some relatively low volume, right? They're apparently able to do it on some relatively low volume, especially against Bitcoin and Ethereum. So I think however they get these EOS tokens, they don't really care. They just want to get the tokens, and it really makes sense to buy it against Ethereum and Bitcoin while these are worth less. And you can see here the volume here is picked up a little bit, and we've seen that price appreciate on relatively low trading volume, which implies that there's not a lot of sellers down here at these levels. but they're wanting to get this EOS token before the June 1st deadline so they can get their actual stake in EOS as a platform. Now going back to CoinMarketCap, something interesting happened here. So as we saw during the big run up, so let's do this real quick. Wasn't planning on doing this, but I think this is pertinent. So let's take a historical snapshot back to let's just do February. So what we have here, I don't know if that's what I want. Okay, so I guess we can just take it up based off of this chart. So what we have here is Cardano. Now I'm using Cardano as kind of a bellwether because Cardano had a massive run, and this is also considered a third tier blockchain, a third generation blockchain, the same way that EOS is. Now this is kind of near the market peak, right? This is when Ripple, Cardano, and Stellar really ran and had their huge run, and we see Cardano here at over $30 billion market cap. We see them at well over a 30 billion market cap, whereas of right now we have EOS at a 6 billion market cap. So with these third level blockchains, we've kind of seen where it can go in terms of market capitalization. So maybe there's a potential for maybe a 500% upwards movement in EOS if it gets really healthy, if the market stays healthy, which, as you know, from this point in time, my personal perspective and analysis leads me to believe that Bitcoin's heading lower. So maybe there's a chance to maybe get EOS lower if that's a thing, but you can anticipate EOS possibly having a $30 billion market cap. That is a possibility if everything is having good technical action. You can anticipate it getting up here. What the other cryptocurrencies do, the platform coins, I don't know. But in terms of EOS, if it is as good as everyone says it is, remember how good you felt about Cardano when it was at 10, 20, $30 billion. That's how good people are going to feel about EOS, and that's really what's going to drive the price higher, is everyone's feeling about EOS. Because keep in mind, EOS is not live. EOS is not public. You can't, now that I think they have the repository on GitHub. If you wanted to, you probably could run an EOS node, but you're going to have to do a lot of VM modeling to try to figure out how this 21 stake delegate thing is going to work out. All right, no one knows that yet. So just in the same way that Cardano is still in beta phase, I would say EOS is in alpha phase. So there's still even more alpha than even Cardano is, I think, even though they've been developing for a year. Now, please correct me if I'm wrong in the comments. I don't know that for a fact between these two, but just from what I've learned about these platforms today, really leads me to the fact that EOS is still in alpha mode. Maybe when they launch, that'll be their beta, but Cardano is also in beta. It got to 30 billion market cap. That's probably where EOS is going to end up sticking out as well. But if Bitcoin finally bottoms and then things go really well, maybe things can really break that 30 billion market valuation. What we see in cryptocurrencies is the highs in terms of the market capitalizations continuously getting higher, and albeit 30 billion is a hell of a lot of money, especially for something that doesn't exist. Because EOS doesn't really exist yet. It's just a theory. Same with Cardano. Cardano doesn't exist either. So both of these coins Cardano was worth $30 billion on something that didn't work. Cryptocurrency space is insane, ladies and gentlemen. All I have to say is when you see a sell signal, take it. But we could hit extreme market capitalization in EOS if it lives up to the hype. So if EOS launches and we see success after success, we're probably going to see a failure, then another success. If you see more successes than failures, you can anticipate EOS being extraordinarily successful. Because if they've taken this time and all this money that they have to develop a successful blockchain, why isn't this the Ethereum killer? Why isn't this the Ethereum killer? And then if that's the case, we saw Ethereum's market cap get up towards $150 billion, right? So in theory, maybe EOS is worth $150 billion if it actually works. $134 billion at the peak there. So maybe EOS is worth $134 billion. That's a 20x from here, okay? That's a 20x from here. So you have anywhere between a 5x to a 20x potential on the table here for EOS if it gets going. So no one knows anything for certain with that. If you guys have some insider information or can point us to some extremely good information regarding EOS and the platform and it working even in a test bed, please post that. That will be extraordinarily valuable for everyone. But right now, this is just speculation. Everyone loves EOS because it's running. Everyone loved Cardano because it was worth $30 billion. Everyone loves Stellar because it was worth $20 billion. You know, we love coins that are worth market cap. We don't give a crap about anything else. Okay? So until something comes out and legitimately works, and to be honest with you, EOS has an opportunity to be that coin. If EOS is that coin, it's going to sit right next to Ethereum, I think, relatively quickly. So there is a chance that EOS is good, but right now it's a gamble. We don't have any further information telling us from a fundamental perspective that it actually works and that it is actually stable and secure. Only time will tell with that, and that's where we're at, guys. I don't really have much more to say. So EOS, extraordinarily promising coin. The technology looks very sound. If it works, it's going to sit up here probably above Ripple with, you know, relatively soon. I think it could buck Bitcoin trend if it is legitimate. If it is legitimate, this is one that could buck the Bitcoin trend strictly with people trying to, you know, jump on the bandwagon there. So, all right, ladies and gentlemen, hope you enjoyed that. Please subscribe if you like the content. Please like the video if you do. Check out my website, real-crypto.com, if you liked my analysis and want to know more about me. Check me out there. And all right, guys, thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.